There was an old woman named Clara living in a small quiet town in Pennsylvania. Her hair was silver, her back was slightly bent, but her heart was still soft and warm. She lived in a house she and her late husband had built with their own hands many years ago. The wooden walls still carried the smell of old memories. The garden still bloomed with roses she had planted in her youth. It was the only place where she felt safe and alive. Clara had 3 adult grandchildren living with her because they said they needed time to settle in life. They promised to help her during the day, to respect her, to love her, and to keep her company. But as months passed, everything changed. Slowly their respect faded. Their voices turned cold. Their actions turned careless. Every morning Clara woke before sunrise and cooked breakfast for all of them. She swept the floor, warmed their clothes, prepared their meals, and waited for a small thank you. But no one ever gave her one. Instead they laughed and said things that cut her heart like a knife. One morning she heard them whispering in the kitchen. One grandson said she eats, but she does not help. Another said she is old and slow, and her time has passed. The youngest one said she should be grateful we even keep her here. Clara stood quietly in the hallway, listening to every word. Her heart trembled, but her face stayed calm. She had given them love, food, and a home. But in return she received complaints, silence, and disrespect. She spent her nights alone in her old rocking chair, looking out the window. She wondered where she went wrong. She wondered why kindness was always forgotten. But she never raised her voice. She stayed silent like the gentle night. Days passed and the remarks grew harsher. One evening when she placed food on the table, they looked at her with annoyance. The oldest grandchild said again, "You eat, but you do not help." Clara looked at them. Her eyes soft, her hands shaking slightly. She said, "I am trying my best." But they ignored her and continued eating loudly. Not a single one offered her a seat. So she went back to her room quietly. That night she packed a small bag, some clothes, a photo of her late husband, and the papers of the house. No one knew that the house still legally belonged to her. No one knew she paid all taxes on time. No one knew her husband had given everything under her name before passing. Her grandchildren thought the house was theirs. They thought she needed them. But they never realized they needed her more. At sunrise she left the house without saying a word. The wind was cold. Her heart was heavy. But her steps were steady. She went straight to the real estate office in town. Her voice calm, she said, "I want to sell my home as soon as possible." The agent looked shocked but followed her instructions. Within 1 week the deal was done. The money was transferred. And Clara did not return to her old address. Instead she rented a small peaceful apartment near the edge of the city. She finally had silence, warm sunlight, and freedom. A few days later her grandchildren reached home after work. They were shocked to see strangers moving furniture. They asked angrily what was happening. One man replied, "The new owner just bought this place. Your grandmother sold it." The grandchildren felt the ground shake under their feet. Their faces turned pale. Everything they depended on was gone. Their comfort, their free meals, their roof. They called Clara again and again, but she did not answer. She knew they needed to learn the value of love and respect. She knew silence was no longer her weakness. It had become her strength. A month later Clara began volunteering at a local community center, helping other elderly women who faced loneliness.